different parts of Texas, probably the most prominent recent fire is the Panhandle fires.
The deadly wildfires are sweeping across 4 states in the southern plains. In the Texas Panhandle, 4 people died, including 2 young ranch hands. We are just south of the Kansas line, and we ran up on a fire crew that has just come into this wide open area to try and extinguish the flames.
Wildfire is a fire that's burning out of control, generally because there is so much fuel and the conditions are so right for fire that it's just going to become too intense to manage. The important thing to understand is while some and perhaps many of those wildfires are sparked by humans, they can also be completely natural fires.
Fire that was experienced prior to European settlement is nothing like the fires that we deal with today.
Fires in the region would have been set by lightning, and people, before the arrival of Europeans, Native Americans burned regularly, played an important role in maintaining fire regimes.
Those fires occurred so frequently that all the vegetation was kept in check. It was a maintenance type of fire. Fires that we deal with right now, they're reclamation burns from excessive fuel accumulations that have occurred over 20 to 30 years, and in some places longer. Urbanization is just impacting every acre of Texas, basically, right now. For the most part, every acre of the Southern Great Plains. Folks are wanting to move out of the cities, and they're wanting to own their piece of private property. And the problem is, the folks that are moving into the country and moving onto rangelands are somewhat disconnected from the land. So they don't understand the role of fire. They don't understand the role of grazing, and they don't understand how rangelands need these processes to function.
When people talk about fire, they almost inevitably focus on the wildfire that has been presented in the media. And they don't really know that prescribed fire is very different in the way that it's applied and the way that it's managed.
This country, rangelands will burn. Historical fire frequencies are anywhere from every 2 to every 6 or 8 years, depending on where you're at in Texas. We can't change Mother Nature. We can't change the process. We can't change the system. We've got to find ways to live with it while meeting the demands of what Mother Nature is. This is a constant, consistent battle that we have to be steadfast in. We constantly need to be having programs dedicated to new research and dedicated to new tools and new understanding of how fire fits into our new normal and our new picture on our rangeland landscapes.
Our project was actually called Fighting Fire with Fire. We've got to use a control burn or a control fire to reduce the risk of wildfire happening. Prescribed fire is a fire that is applied under strict control conditions.
Believe it or not, the hill country area used to be much more open and more savanna type systems.
But a lot of people don't know that because fire has been altered and stopped so much throughout the region.
The use of prescribed fire is important for 2 reasons. First is because most of these ecosystems are fire-driven ecosystems.
The only way to truly manage those species is with the same tactic and the same management tool that they evolved with.
Taking fire out of savannas and grasslands is like taking rain out of the rainforest. As people stop fire, we're losing plant and animal habitat.
If we allow woody plant invasion to continue, our above ground fuel loads are growing massively. And so when we have these conditions where wildfires are going to burn, and it's not a question of if, it's always a question of when is that going to happen.
Sure, there's chemical, herbicide, and mechanical options, but in terms of working with Mother Nature and employing a tactic that our plant community steadily revolved with, it's fire.
You know, we've shown that prescribed fire is the only economically feasible tool for reducing invasive woody plants.
When we can learn how to safely and effectively prescribe fire on the landscape, we're not only doing our job as range stewards, but we're keeping that landscape and that rangeland intact. It's a healthier system. I want every landowner to understand that regardless of you owning 1 acre or 10 acres or 10 sections, you have to implement prescribed fire at some point.
Basically, pro-fire legislation that provide legislative intent behind it is that the ecosystems in those states are fire-driven, and fire is necessary to maintain their integrity and also to reduce wildfire risk. And a lot of the states recognizing that, the state legislatures created these bills and put them through, and those bills create a safe and productive environment for prescribed burning. And how they do that mainly is through lowering legal liability. Most states are still using civil negligence. Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Nevada, and Colorado now have the gross negligence standard. So what we've seen in these states where they have this shift to a lower liability standard for certified prescribed burn managers is that people are burning more often and they're burning more acres. And so it really has served as a way to get people to do more burning.
As social creatures, we are heavily influenced by what those around us think about what we do. So county commissioners, they are elected, and if the public perceives fire to be dangerous, they're concerned about taking any action that might lead to something that the public would say, you see, we told you so. And so they will tend to be overly cautious when it comes to applying fire, and might apply burn bans before they're really needed, or perhaps because they're overcautious.
And that's why county officials can be so important in this. We have to be able to equip our local county and state officials with the right knowledge and with sound science. And this is part of that project.
In order to alleviate some of the issues that landowners were facing in applying prescribed fire, prescribed burning associations were established first in Texas in 1997 to try and help landowners apply prescribed fire.
Those are landowners helping landowners, neighbors helping neighbors, and it's a co-op.
It's a membership organization, voluntary membership organization, where landowners come together, they help each other burn the land. In the process of doing that, they become very knowledgeable about how to apply fire.
They share resources, they share equipment, and they learn from one another. And we all know the value of peer-to-peer learning. So we need informed landowners. We need landowners to step up, to become active in the Prescribed Burn Association, to become leaders that are actively engaged and that want to teach other landowners about the role of fire on our landscapes that we live in, and to be invested community members that buy into this bigger picture of stewardship that's on such a much more meaningful scale. Anyone who moves from the city is a range steward. You don't have to be a cowboy, you don't have to wear boots, and you don't have to be a fifth or sixth generation on a piece of property. If you own a rangeland landscape system, you can have a huge effect on that overall pasture, that overall site, and you can do your share to contribute to wildfire mitigation. I don't want to sound like Smokey Bear, but we all play a part, and when we become landowners, that is our commitment. That is what we are tasked with protecting and nurturing.